So it's all for play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hello, Villa fans, and welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. And immediate reaction to a really poor last 10 minutes, last 15 minutes from Aston Villa, which snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. Villa going 1-0 up through an absolutely brilliant header from John Duran, and then just became so passive in front of our back four. And conceded 2 goals. One to Jesus, I can't remember. One to Milinkovic, and then one to Anthony Elanga. And both of them were, to a degree, well worked goals. The first one should have probably been stopped by Martinez. He gets he gets the save to the ball, but the ball goes under him, goes into the back of the net. And then the second goal is a well worked goal. Foul on Matty Cash in the build up to it. I know people may not agree with that, but Elliot Anderson just comes straight through the back from him. You can't do that. And that is a foul. But we can see then, and the annoying part about it is that we had players back. It's not a case that we were caught on a break like we have been this season. We were structured pretty well in defence, but I think when we brought off Tielemans that we lost so much in midfield. Like Onana came on and I'm not quite sure he did much, if anything at all, in that midfield. And I thought we lost our way a bit in midfield. Now the 2 goals obviously don't come from there, but when you can't keep possession, you're going to keep having chances created against you. And it is no coincidence, I think, that when Tielemans went off, we couldn't keep possession in midfield and we couldn't get things going forward. It was very, very slow. We had Kamara in there, we had Onana in there, and then Barkley came on. I think, did Barkley come on after the second goal? I'm not sure. But yeah, this is a really poor result. Really, it's a poor result for us from a league table point of view. It's a poor result in the way that we just didn't have it. We didn't have the fortitude, whether it be physical or mental fortitude, in the last 15 minutes to keep going, and we let it slip. There was warnings prior to that from the goal that was ruled out, and their goals were pretty similar in a lot of ways. It was essentially just try and get that ball wide, try and narrow the crossing angle, and then make sure that you've got somebody bundling in at the back post. That's kind of the way that the second half went for them. Not happy, certainly not happy at all with the way Villa let that one slide. You know, you go 1-0 up through a great goal from John Duran, and Unai brings on, like, I thought the right substitution was to bring Onana on to shore up midfield, but it didn't work. He didn't do it. He wasn't able to. He looked a bit cumbersome when he was running around. I'm not blaming him. Jesus, don't get me wrong. But I think that for me was kind of the turning point where we stopped being progressive and faster in midfield, and we became, every ball went back to Pau Torres after that. Every ball had to go to Pau Torres to start the move. And there was nobody that was taking the bull by the horns like Tielemans has done so often this season. It was a weird game. It was a very weird game. Take the 3 goals out of it. The game was strange. It never really felt like it had anything going for it for a lot of the 90 minutes or the 80 minutes prior to, I suppose, Forest's 2 goals, or probably the 60 minutes prior to John Duran's goal. Didn't feel it had anything really going for it. I thought that, like, it was a forgettable game up to that point. The thing I would have been remembering the game for most was the word fleeting, because when you have a rule book that's written and the referee and the VAR referee then starts to use words like fleeting, admitting that there was a pull on somebody's arm. I'm not saying it's a pull on the jersey or anything like that, but it's a pull on the wrist. That for me is a definite penalty. Oh, look, it just is. You guys can disagree with me. I'm not too worried about that. I'm not here to have an argument over it. I'm not going to be convinced it's not a penalty, and that's fine. You know, I think it's just such a blatant penalty, to be honest. When VAR looks back at it, and then they make such a big deal out of the fact that John Brooks said it was a fleeting pull on his wrist. I've no idea. I've no idea what we're doing anymore. And I'm just bringing that up because that was the most memorable thing I think of the game before John Duran's goal. Then John Duran scores a goal, and they have a goal. They have a penalty shout from John Duran. Clumsiness in our own box, not given. Then they have a goal chalked off. If I was a Forest fan and I saw that first goal chalked off, I would have been quite annoyed. The lines, just the inches that are in it. But look, they've drawn the vector lines. We've been victim of it. Every team is going to be victim of it. There's swings and roundabouts with that. It's just like 1-1, I think would have been a fair result for that game today. Forest will be absolutely thrilled with that 2-1 win. And obviously now they're fourth in the table, and they are 3 points ahead of Aston Villa now. 3 points ahead of us. And that was a game we needed not to lose the way the game was going, but we did. We found a way to lose it, and that's not good enough. It's not good enough for a team that wants to get into Champions League football. Last year we weren't losing those games. Last year we were pulling, like, you think of the Brentford match when we were 2-0 up, Brentford go 3-2 up, and then we come back to draw it at 3-3. Think of all the games last year whereby I think that was the first game that when we were leading, we dropped points in at all last season. And that Brentford game was when in April or something like that, was it? Was that when we played them? So it's like that's been a huge difference for us this year. We've gone ahead and we've ended up losing games. We've gone ahead and we've ended up drawing games that we shouldn't have. And that's a huge takeaway so far. And we have to find a way to fix it. Otherwise, it won't be top 4, top 5. And we can talk about the quality defending and stuff like that. It's an absolute very valid point as well. And I think it's a subtopic. It's a separate topic on its own because it's so important. But the subtopic, should I say, is the two subtopics for me are what has happened that we are now so kind of fidgety when we go 1-0 up, or lax, or overly it's not even that we're overly cautious. It's sometimes like we do silly things when we go 1 up, and that needs to be ironed out. And that's in different areas of the field. That's from our goalkeeper, that's from our midfield, as well as our back four, and I don't have an answer for that, nor would I expect myself to have an answer for that. I'm arrogant, but I'm not that arrogant. But I wouldn't I don't have an answer for that. And on the 14th of September 2024, Unai's tried a lot of different things, and he needs to find an answer for it. He needs to find an answer for that. Not ideal losing Mings 20 minutes before the game, 30 minutes before the game. I think it changes the game plan. I think that's fair to say. But when you go 1-0 up, you should still be able to see a game like that out. You should be able to, even though we weren't the aggressors in the game for the majority of it. You should be able to see that game out. We didn't. And it's bad. It was like it's a game that the players won't forget for a while. And I don't want one of those. I don't want bad beats like that. Not saying that we were hugely the better team or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying, oh geez, we played Forest off the park and they somehow got a 2-1 win. That's not what I'm saying. But the bad beat here is that, we should have been able to see that game out at 1-0. We should have been able to see that game out at 1-1. We couldn't do either. We couldn't do either. We've Man City coming up on the horizon as well. And we've a tough run in over Christmas. Answers need to start coming from somewhere. Clean sheets. We need to keep clean sheets. We're not doing it. We're not doing it. We're not doing it because there's just something like there's something off from a concentration slash. Like I know an awful lot of teams. I know an awful lot of professional football teams would play games in bunches of 10 minutes or 15 minutes. So like first 15 minutes, and you're playing for 50 minutes, and then you almost in your mind you reset then, and you play the next 50 minutes, and you reset and you play the next 50 minutes, and that's why you tend to see that sometimes teams kind of up it and then they take their active rest. But God, it seems when we take our active rest in that second 15 minutes in the second half, nearly in every game, that's when we begin to like we can't get out of our funk. We can't get out of our funk after we do that. Like if we kind of take our foot off and we say, right, we're going to keep possession here, or we're just going to hunker down for 10, 15 minutes, going to recover, keep everything tight. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go hell for leather then for the last 15 minutes. Teams do that. They break the game down into either 20-minute segments and then a 5-minute flurry at the end, or they break it into 15 minutes, usually 15 minutes and stuff like that. So like, if we have that active recovery 15 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever it is, we've never been able, we just don't seem like we're able to up the gears again like we were last year. And even bringing on the subs, as I said, and I look, if anybody feels I was overly harsh on Anna, I was just talking about something that came into my head. Just didn't think he looked fully up to speed. I thought he looked clunky when he came on. It didn't work when he came on, should I say. And it's an annoyance. I think the big thing for me is that it's an annoyance that we've got all these good players, and sometimes it's the mental side of the game that leaves us down. I know I spoke about VAR and stuff like that, but you have to take responsibility as well for the players have to take responsibility for the loss in this game today as well. Anthony Elanga comes on with all the greatest respect in the world to Anthony Elanga. He isn't like he's a fine winger. He's a grand winger. We faced better wingers than him today, and we faced better wingers than him all season. But when he comes on, it turned to consternation the second he came on, and all he did was run straight. And we should have been able to deal with that. We should have been able to deal with that in midfield. But Tielemans comes off and we weren't. The dynamic in midfield, was it Tielemans that came off? But when Onana came on, I'm going to say, because I can't even remember, was it Tielemans that came off? It must have been. The dynamic just went, and then our midfield just became so easy to play through. And that's what causes those overloads that we had. That's what brought the momentum that got the essentially the 3 goals that Forest scored, the one being chalked off. They were all very similar. Yes, I know the winner was Elliot Anderson Buddles into the back of Matty Cash. I still think that's a foul. And the ball then is played across. Now Langa finishes it. But the goals previous were like the overloads come, and the fact they're able to get so many people up there is because of straight running from Anthony Elanga and porous nature of our midfield. And it wasn't porous all game. It was good for large parts of the game, but then it just when it broke, it was broken. There was no plug to the hole in midfield, and then our defense looks bad because we can see 2 goals. And look, I know Martinez gets his stomach to the ball. Like, let's not forget Martinez's save. Martinez will probably have saved the season for that other save during the course of the game today. But then he gets something on the ball for the or it hits him in the stomach, drops down underneath him, goes back into the back of the net. For their goal, not bypassing that whatsoever. But it's the build-up play for it. It's the fact that the overloads were able to happen on the wing areas, and then they were in a position whereby, that their centre halves were able to stay up and cause the havoc and cause the consternation. It's really disappointing. And that's a game that'll stick. That game will stick with the team for a while. Like, usually I would say, that teams, there's lots of games coming up and things, but that's one that I think that's one that the players will remember going into this Man City game, and maybe cause a nervousness and overcautiousness Like they need to forget about this game somehow, and I hope they do, because it's one of those ones that there will be heads and hands in the dressing room. There will be disappointment, massive disappointment in the dressing room, and like we can all sit here and we can try and convince ourselves that after some games, some losses, there isn't massive disappointment. There absolutely is. Sometimes or players go into the dressing room and they're like, "Okay, we got beat 3-0 today. Fuck it, we've to get up on the horse again next time. Next time we go and we play and we have to eke out a win." Last like that today, there'll be heads and hands. There'll be people wondering. There'll be people annoyed. They'll wake up tomorrow very annoyed. And I know, as much not as we're fans, we want them to wake up annoyed after every single the morning after every game. Doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. We can fool ourselves. We can pretend. We can be big hard men and say they should be, and if they're not fit to wear the shirt. All that. That's fine. Grant. Have that conversation. The reality of life is they wake up next morning, they go to training, and they try and get it out of their heads as quick as they possibly can. And I hope they can do that with this one. This one today as well, because the manner of the loss is the more galling part than the loss itself. Albeit that the loss itself is a bad one based on where we want to be at the end of the season. With these teams that are around us, giving Forest an extra 3 points in this. We needed to create that buffer zone. We couldn't. They have. And now we're looking at Man City coming down the line and some tough, tricky games over a Christmas period. So not the greatest game in the world, but definitely not the best result in the world. And I'm going to need to watch it back to try and point fingers at what, who, and where I suppose the holes came from and the failings came from. But like genuinely, I didn't have any issue with the substitutes that came on. I didn't have any issue with the substitute timings or anything like that. I could see why they were made. They're all logical substitutions, and sometimes they don't work. And I think maybe that I think the Tielemans decision to take Tielemans off, and that's a worry in itself. You take one player out of midfield, and the midfield becomes very porous, is a worry in itself. And I think when I watch it back, I'm going to probably I'll be interested to see if I have a different synopsis on what happened in the last 20 minutes. 20 minutes. After Tielemans was taken off. Saying that, all is not lost. There are more games to come. Like, it's just a fact of life. There's more games to come. Will them? I don't know. Will Unai be able to sort this out? I still think he will. He has found fixes to areas. Like, I think the last today, the defense itself, I think, is obviously not fixed. We're conceding goals, but is looking more competent and confident. I think today it was the midfield that kind of left us down. I think I've been pretty vocal on that, and so Unai needs to find a fix for that. As we go into another run of games. I haven't opened up the comments because sometimes, as I say, that I want to try and get my thoughts together here first. I suppose with you guys first before, and you guys can have chats in the comments. I will go back and I will read them afterwards. As I say, after games like this, I never find it's beneficial to have debates immediately afterwards or whatever the case may be. Or I'm just trying to tell everybody what I'm kind of trying to process and feel, or what my feelings are in the game. And I know people won't agree with probably 50% of it, but I'm going to watch it back later on, specifically that last half hour, and just see what went wrong, because it was obvious something just wasn't right in midfield, and I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, because, as I say, I couldn't fault the substitutions, and I wasn't too disappointed when I saw any of the names and numbers come up on the board, but I certainly was when it came to the end of the game. So I'm going to leave it at that, guys. As for any of you who watched the team sheet tantrum, I had my Christmas party yesterday, and my head is absolutely splitting. So shorter one today. This team will be back, and we will be back with previews, post matches, and team sheet tantrums again for the next game. If I have anything in me later on, I might even pop on and try and do 10-15 minutes on what I found in the last half hour of that game today, just to try and make sense of it. Unlikely, I would say, the way my head feels at the moment, but I think that there is an awful lot of credit to be given to, like, Forest. I saw a couple of comments before, and the people are saying Forest are not a good team. They're an ugly team. I don't know. Forest have a way of playing. They're really good at it. They're a really compact team. There's 3 or 4 players in that team I would absolutely sign in the morning. And I think, for a team to have the character, I can't sit here and castigate Aston Villa for not having the character to see out that game without then on the flip side saying Nottingham Forest deserve to have a pat in the back and be congratulated for the character they showed, to stick with it, to keep going, to twist the knife when they got that. When even after that first goal was disallowed, they had every opportunity to feel aggrieved for themselves. No, they came back to score the second their first legal goal, I suppose, then straight away after that. And then they got the winner. And you have to give them kudos for that because, we snatched defeat from the jaws of victory there, but Forest had the character to keep going. So, look, we'll be back again with more podcasts in the coming days. I'm going to leave it at that because I know you start to ramble now. Aston Villa lose this game to Forest 2-1. Disappointing loss, and there will definitely be searches for answers as to what went wrong in this game. But thanks so much, everybody, for watching and listening. Stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the